A young woman named Kate, exhausted from a long day at work, got behind the wheel of her car, wanting only one thing: to return home. She turned on the ignition and the car rolled through the empty streets. But something was wrong in the air. Shadows and silhouettes flickered before her eyes, causing alarm, but she resolutely brushed them aside. She was sure that this was just fatigue, a play of the imagination. But when Kate turned off the main road onto a narrow path leading into the depths of the forest, her car began to make strange noises. Something was wrong. She stopped, struggling to start the engine, but to no avail. Her phone suddenly stopped beeping. Helplessly leaving the car, Kate decided to continue on foot, hoping that somewhere nearby there would be a house or help. However, as she began to walk, she felt the world around her begin to quiet down and plunge into darkness. Noiseless rustles and ominous whispers surrounded her. Someone or something was watching her from the depths of the forest. Kate's heart beat faster. Everything around her became darker and quieter, as if she was plunging into a bottomless abyss. She tried to speed up her pace, but an invisible force pulled her back, preventing her from getting out of the embrace of the gloomy emptiness. And then, in the middle of the forest, Kate noticed a strange house, shimmering in the darkness. Her heart was beating with hope. Maybe here she will find help? She cautiously approached the door and, without hesitation, resolutely opened it. Kate entered the abandoned house, the walls of which emitted a piercing coldness. The air was filled with the smell of old age and missed opportunities. The rooms looked as if no one had visited them for a long time. Kate's heart was beating faster, and the anxiety inside her only grew. She searched every corner of the house, but found no sign of life. Dark shadows danced on the walls, adding to the frightening atmosphere. Then, when Kate was about to leave the house, she discovered that the door she had entered through was now locked. She started tapping and screaming, but her call went to nothing. There was no answer. Suddenly, in the silence, there was an ominous creak of the door, and it opened, swallowing her again. Kate stepped outside and was horrified. The forest she had tried so hard to leave behind was gone, and she was right where it all began. Her car was parked next to her, like a bad dream that she couldn't wake up from. She turned around and saw a tall man standing in the middle of the road. He was dressed in a black coat, and his eyes sparkled with a cold gleam. He approached slowly, his smile chilling. "You'll never get out of here," he said in a low, shrill voice. But Kate didn't give up. She felt that this was the last chance for salvation, and resolutely looked at the stranger, not stepping back. "Who are you? What do you want from me?" she asked, trying to remain calm. The man just chuckled, maintaining his sinister smile. "I'm nobody special. Just the guardian of this place. You're trapped, Kate. This house and these woods won't let you go." Kate felt an inner rage and determination. She could not believe that her fate was so hopeless. "I don't believe it. I'll find a way out. I have to go home." The man laughed wickedly. "You're too naive, Kate. No one has ever left here. No one has found a way out of this labyrinth." Kate felt the forces of desperation vanish, replaced by determination. She refused to accept the fate that the stranger had predicted for her. She knew she had to fight for her freedom and return to her life. "I'm not going to sit here and wait for these forests to swallow me up," she said with confidence in her voice. "I'll find a way to get out, even if it means walking through the darkness." The man stared at her, his cold eyes giving off an ominous light. "You dare to challenge this place? You are too weak to resist it." "Weakness in the eyes of those who give up," Kate replied, feeling strength and determination growing in her heart. "I will not let this place destroy me. I will find a way to overcome this curse." The man approached her with a grin, his presence filling the air with malice. "So be it your way. But remember that there is nothing here but darkness and despair." Kate turned away from him and walked towards her car. She knew she had to try again. Even if it was a trap, she couldn't just resign herself to her fate, giving herself up to the forces that kept her in this place. She gazed at her car, sensing that it contained the answer to her salvation. She made a decision to try to start it again. Concentrating, she turned the key in the ignition and suddenly heard the familiar sound of a growling engine. The car came to life. With joy and relief, Kate got behind the wheel and left this cursed place. She drove along the forest road, overcoming obstacles, until she finally got to the main track. Kate, thinking she was finally out of the nightmare, relaxed and leaned back in her seat. But when she looked back in the rearview mirror, horror seized her. Instead of her reflection, she saw the gloomy figure of a man who was chasing her in the forest. Screaming in horror, she turned around and saw him sitting in the back seat. He had a sinister laugh and his eyes shone with an evil light. "I told you, you'll never get out of here," he said with a cold voice. Filled with terror, Kate tried to get out of the car, but the door slammed shut, preventing her from leaving. The car began to accelerate uncontrollably, and the man in the back seat watched it with pleasure. Kate realized that she had fallen into the trap of death, where there is no way to escape. She closed her eyes, waiting for the inevitable, as the car slammed into a wooded wall. Everything went dark, and her mind was lost in pain and hopelessness. Thus, Kate became another victim of a mysterious house and forest that never let go of their victims. Her fate has become part of an endless nightmare that consumes all who dare to try to penetrate their sphere of influence.